Hi, this is Dani. The channel's You and Me Living Free. I have started this video so many times and I haven't been able to get through it. And so I'm going to try to do this as directly and matter-of-factly as I can. I'm sharing the story about why I came home from my last trip over a month early, really when I was just getting started on my trip. I was in Quartzsite, as a lot of you know if you watch me, right? So I'm in Quartzsite. It is almost the middle of January. I'm just getting started planning out all the things I wanted to do, and my trip is all laying itself out in front of me. I'm excited. I'm going to skip Kansas City winter. Yay, because I also have seasonal affective disorder, so the thought of being in the desert and being in the sunshine and in the warmth over being in the gray, cold Kansas City is like huge for me, huge. So that was the plan, and you know what sometimes happens with plans. So middle of Quartzsite, I'm in the desert, and I find a lump in my breast. So just so you know, I have never had up until that point, never had a mammogram, don't regularly do breast exams or anything. And I was kind of freaked out, so kind of freaked out that I was kind of in denial. Like I was really needing some time just to process even this. But luckily, I guess, for me, it was an unambiguous lump. It wasn't like, oh, I feel something and I wonder if it's a lump. No, it was like, this is here, this is not small, I wonder how long it's been here. All of those kind of things running through my head, right? I also had no relationship with a doctor, no, primary physician that over the years, I've had doctors where I would have a relationship or whatever, but this past year I've had no health insurance because I've been living on savings, haven't been regularly employed, and it's extremely expensive. It's $650 a month for health insurance coverage for me, with an extremely high deductible, so that's really just to cover you for catastrophe. And so there I am, I'm 1,500 miles away from home. So I took a couple of days. I signed up for health insurance. It didn't start until February 1st, so I had some time to slowly make my way back to Kansas City, make the appointment, wait for the appointment, all of that. So I had about 3 weeks of having a situation where there's a lump in my breast. That's all I know for sure. I'm not telling anyone because I don't want to worry anybody that I love, and I don't want to make them wait this long period of time before you are going to find out and even be able to find out anything. So I'm processing it on my own. Plus I wanted to process it on my own because I'm the one going through it. I didn't want advice. I didn't want to do a Google search and find some facts or whatever. I just wanted to be alone with myself, with God, with the universe, whatever, and really just think it through, process it. I went through and processed on many different levels. Of course, first there's the practical level, right? If this were something, and if it were something serious, what would be who would take care of me? What would happen to my house that I pay rent on, right? Like how would I make income? How, walking down that road in the practical sense and creating kind of a plan, like if this is needed, this is probably what I would do. Those kind of practical things. Financially, how would I afford it? What am I gonna, how am I gonna pay for health insurance? All of that financially. Plus, even with health insurance, my deductible was so big that the first, $8,000 or whatever that's going into treatment is coming out of my pocket. I don't have that readily, so what is the deal with that? So it's practical, it's financial, it's all of those things. It's thinking about my health, thinking about on another level besides practical and financial, I'm thinking it through like emotionally. Emotionally, there's a big charge because I keep telling myself, and I know, okay, here's the fact. The fact is that I have a lump in my breast. anything more than that is a story. So I don't want to go too far down the road of what if this is something terrible and get myself so worked up and get into this way of thinking or get these ideas into my head or whatever. But at the same time, I think that it is not only practical, but it was very worthwhile to think about whether you have a potentially very serious condition health-wise or not. It's very important to think about what if my days were numbered? All of ours are, but what if I knew they were, and what if I knew that those days where I was healthy, strong, and myself completely were numbered? And so I got this time to ask myself these big questions. Also the big questions of, what do I believe? Put your money where your mouth is. What do you really believe? Do you really believe there's something after? Do you really believe in God? Do you really believe in purpose and in eternity and in the connectedness and in your soul and in all of that? What do you really believe? Because now is when the rubber meets the road. Now is when you're facing something that's potentially life-threatening, even though I know I'm recognizing that's a story I'm making up, but at the same time, you just go through all of the motions of the what ifs, and it's a practical journey and a health journey, and it's also a psychological, emotional journey. It's also a spiritual journey. And what I came up with mostly is that the important part of this journey was the emotional and spiritual aspect of it, that brings into clarity, what do I believe? And also, do I believe what I think I believe, what I always said I believed? And the answer is yes, I do. And the other thing is, what is the other thing? The other thing is the big questions are like, what does my life mean? What is really important? What if I knew I had a short number of days left, let's say a year, 2 years, I don't know, 6 months, whatever it is. If I found that were the case, what would I want to spend my time doing? And one of the most powerful things that came up was that I would want to do exactly what I'm doing. I wouldn't want to change one thing. Like if I could do anything, if days were numbered and I knew this was it, I would want to do exactly what I'm doing. Look at the sun coming in and just, oh my gosh, I'm sorry if that's distracting. I'll try to stay put more and have it not. I'll be on my face. So time to ask the deeper questions, time to figure out if what I say I believe, I really believe. Time to think about, would my kids be okay? And I just kept going with this up and down, like, well, we don't know anything yet. All I know for sure is I have a lump in my breast. So anything more than that's a story. But at the same time, it was worthwhile to kind of go through all of this, ask the important questions, look at my life and what it means and what is important, and am I doing that? And to find out that if you were limited and only had 1 year, how would you spend that time? And is that how you're spending your time now? Not that they would always be the same thing. Not that they're always going to be exactly the same thing, because that's a different way to look at it. But as an exercise to clarify what is the most important thing, what is the bottom line. And here are a few things that I discovered that were really gifts. And here is part of the reason why I started this second channel, so that I can go deeper into things like this. So here's one of the things that I discovered, and that was that I would do exactly what I'm doing, and and I am thrilled. And if I had stayed in that job I hated, not taken the risk, not quit my job, not taken that money that could have been put into savings and security, if I had it to do over again, would I have just kept that and saved it for a rainy day? Because now it's starting to rain, and I don't know how bad this storm is going to get, but I could sure use that umbrella of that money. At the same time, I had zero regrets. I was so clear, and I am so clear, that taking that year off was the best thing I've ever decided to do. It's the best thing I've ever decided to do beside having my kids. Best thing I ever decided to do. So it reaffirmed that risk and that choice, which is fantastic. It made me realize if I had stayed in that other position and lived this year like that, and then found something potentially very life-threatening even, or health-threatening, I would have been even more devastated. Believe me, I went through a lot of times where I was just crying and very emotional, but I'm glad that I had the time to kind of do all of that and get here. I realized my kids would be okay. That's one of the big questions. Will my kids be okay? And I got to think about the fact that I have raised them and that they are on their own, strong, capable, centered, knowing themselves, especially my daughter who's a little older, my son even at 19, like they're on great paths. And as a parent, that's kind of all you can do. And even then, you know, who knows how much of that you actually do and how much of it is them, but whatever. I felt good about these kids that I have brought into the world and their chances of making it. I felt like as a mom, I had equipped them. I was also so happy. What brought me so much joy was like this thought, I thought I was going to get through this without crying maybe, was the thought that I'm proud of myself for doing this and for having this year and for my life. Like I've made tons of mistakes, but I'm proud of myself, and for where I am now, where I kind of ended up so far, I'm very proud. And not only am I proud, but I know that my kids are proud of me. They've even told me, I know my daughter's told me, I think my son has too if he's not verbalized it. I know that. I know my kids are proud of me, and I'm proud of myself. That is an amazing gift. Also, when I felt this slump and I thought of the possibility of not being here, it's so ironic because over this last year, I have never felt more alive. I've never felt more happy to be here. I've never felt more excited about my life and what's coming than in this last year. And I thought, how ironic if I get sick now. How ironic if that happens now. But if it does, at least I've had this year. And if I hadn't had this year, then I would be even more devastated, much more devastated. Also, okay, I just remembered. The other thing was, when I was sitting there thinking, okay, this could be potentially very threatening to me and to my health and my life, while I had that thought, at the same time, I developed this like overwhelming love and appreciation for my body. As soon as I had the thought that it could be threatened, that I wasn't taking for granted my amazing body and judging my body and shaming my body and all of those things that I constantly do to my body for not being good enough and for being too big and for all of that, it went away in an instant. Like I didn't care about my size. I didn't care about the weight. I didn't care. I wasn't judging myself in any way. I was in a place of giving thanks and overflowing appreciation for every cell in my body. And I apologized to my body for all the judgment and shame and the not good enough and all of that. And I really apologized and just felt like even if this ends up being nothing or if it ends up being something, I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose this just immediate love of my body, appreciation for my body. I was standing up straighter. I was feeling myself. I was inhabiting my body. Like, I get so like separated from my body. I tend to kind of intellectualize some things. I get in my head a lot, and I can separate kind of from my body and not really be in it. And and so I was in my body so much right then. And I've had these periods, they go from front and back. Anyway, so much time to contemplate all of this deeper stuff, right? And it was a huge gift. And there's this overwhelming appreciation for life itself, for the body, and for the act of breathing in and breathing out and not even taking one of those breaths for granted. And this was overwhelmingly so positive and happy and meaningful on such a deep level. So I'm processing all of this. I have all the tears, I have all the elation, I have all the satisfaction, I have all the learning. And in one of my videos, I made a series of videos that were in the moment things were happening and just talking out my feelings and talking out, processing what was happening with me. I've decided I don't know if I'm going to ever share those. Maybe I'll share them in a smaller, maybe on my Patreon, or I don't know, maybe I might share them in a smaller group if I thought it could help anybody. But they're very, very raw emotionally because that's just where it was. But so I have this 3-week kind of roller coaster. I get home, I make an appointment with a doctor that I've never met before. I have my health insurance. It finally kicks in. I get my card. I sign up. I sign up for the doctor. I have to go to the doctor first, and then the next day is the mammogram and sonogram, and it's all kind of laid out. And when I went into this doctor that I did not know and that I did not care for, some people you click with and some people you don't, did not care for this doctor at all. And, the first day we're going in and, oh, you don't do mammograms, and oh, you don't do colonoscopies, and oh, you have a history of heart disease and diabetes in your family, and your mom, anyway, my mom's super healthy, but on my dad's side of the family, tons of stuff. And my dad passed almost 10 years ago. In September, it'll be 10 years. But anyway, you have all this health history and you're overweight, and you're like, the doctor's appointment itself was like this litany, and thinking through, why I came on this journey in the first place is because my dad had a heart attack at 52. He had a quadruple bypass, 5 arteries from the leg into the heart, like 5 arteries, quadruple bypass at 52. But then he lived another 15 years or so. And then his mom, before that, had passed at 52 with a massive heart attack. She's like, you've got all of this stuff and you're at high risk and you blah, 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 blah. We signed up for all of this testing, did a full thing of blood work, all of this. So I'm just coming back into this. And it's just really, really bringing me down. And so the next day I go for my mammogram, and then I go for the sonogram, right? Because I don't know why for sure I had to have a mammogram when they already knew there was a lump and they couldn't have gone straight to the sonogram, but whatever. They're the experts, not me. So I had the mammogram, my first ever mammogram, which, don't get me started. There's plenty of, don't get me started. But anyway, uncomfortable, but not terrible. I mean, people complain about them, but whatever. And very uncomfortable, but not that bad. And then I go in, have the sonogram. And And after the sonogram, you know how they never tell you anything? Like, you know, that tech or whoever it is who comes in to do the actual work, you know, they probably know themselves because they see all this stuff and whatever, but they don't have the pedigree and they don't, you know, aren't looking at, you know, they send it to the doctor and then that doctor contacts your doctor and you wait another day to, you know, to find out whatever. I was actually supposed to find out that same day. My doctor said that they would give me a call that same day. So I'm there, and instead of letting me go without telling me anything, the tech comes back in and she said, I've already spoken with the radiologist and I'm gonna let you know that this is a large simple cyst. You have nothing to worry about. And I'm asking her these follow-up questions. She's like, it's okay. If it, you know, starts to cause you pain or anything, you can come back, we can drain it for you. Some people just get them. It's not cancer. It's not malignant. It's not a tumor or anything. And so she's telling me this. And I'm bawling in the exam room there, just from pure relief. Like, I'm just bawling, crying. And and I leave there and I go home and everything. The next morning on my patient portal, you know, how they communicate through email and messages and stuff, I have a message from my doctor, and she doesn't say anything. She just sends a recommendation for a surgeon. And I'm like, why are you sending me a recommendation for a surgeon? I already know this, you know, am I going to have this just because it's big? Am I going to have like a surgery to have it removed? Like, what is going on here? So I message the doctor back, this doctor that I have no relationship with, don't like, and she's giving me all this crappy news. And then she doesn't even tell me about the results from my scan. She just sends me a referral to a surgeon. And now I'm confused and I'm pissed and I'm just kind of bewildered. I message her again, call her again, and we talk like later that day, maybe even the next morning. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I said, there's a missing step here because I don't understand what's going on. She told me that this was a simple large cyst. And the doctor was like, look, that's what we think it is. They had no right to tell you that. They weren't supposed to tell you that. And I was like, well, there were extenuating circumstances. And I know why the tech told me, because she said emotionally she's been giving a lot of bad news lately. And the thought of telling someone that they're okay. She asked for permission from the radiologist or whatever that doctor is. And they said it was okay to tell me. So she wanted to give me that relief in that moment for her as a human being with another human being to let me know, which I appreciated greatly. So she says, well, they shouldn't have told you that. They're communicating with us. And I was like, their recommendation is come back in a year for a mammogram. And your recommendation is here, go see a surgeon. And I have no idea what's going on. And she's like, oh, I didn't see their recommendation in the paperwork because they put it on the result. They put it on the thing that they sent me through the patient portal or whatever. She goes, oh, I didn't see that recommendation. It's not up to them to make recommendations to you. They bring that to us and then we see. And she goes, and she's talking to me and she's like, it probably is a large simple cyst. That's what we think it is. But you need to go to the surgeon. And so I waited again, went to the surgeon, and the surgeon was like, yes, that's what I think it is. If we drain it right now, I can look at what comes out and just make more confirmation that that's exactly what it is. And the reason you want to have it drained is because, number one, it could start to cause pain and everything. It wasn't causing me any pain. I had no physical symptoms of any kind. It was just tender to the touch. That was all. There was nothing else. And so I was fine kind of leaving it if it was harmless and if there was nothing else I needed to do. But she did tell me, like, if you did have a lump, it might make it harder to get to or harder to feel. It might cover up other things, and it was large. So she wanted to drain it, and I said that was okay, and she did it right there in her office. And I'm like, thank God, so she did it. I was done. And then she wants a follow-up because she said once you do that, sometimes it'll come right back or you'll get another one or something like that. So anyway, bringing this story in, bringing this somehow to a close. So that was the situation. All that time to find out it was a simple large cyst, that it doesn't put me at any greater risk for cancer or anything. It's just some people get cysts sometimes and some people don't, and it could be too much caffeine, it could be hormonal changes and shifts going on in my body. I'm 52 years old. And so that's a definite possibility that there would be hormonal shifts and things, going on. I can definitely see that. So my regular doctor gives me all this follow-up to do. I have to get these blood tests. I have to get colonoscopy. I have to get blah, 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 all these other tests and everything. And so here's the deal. There were so many things that came from this experience. So much soul searching that I did. So many kind of mini awakenings and realizations and stuff that I had, that it's a main reason that I started my second channel, my Dani Living Free channel. If you haven't checked that out and you want to have more of these kind of conversations, like, what was going on when I found out, and some of those ups and downs, because here's the thing. It's really good to ask yourself these questions. What if I had a very short time and I knew my days were numbered to 1 year or whatever? Like, what would I do? What's really important? If I only had a small amount of focus, a small amount of time of being like healthy and strong and who I am, and what would I do? What do I want people to say about me when I'm gone? What do I want to leave my kids with? What ideas, what reinforcement, what do I want to say to everybody? What do I want to say to everybody who I love to? And so there was so much learning and so much power in the experience. And now, even that it's a couple weeks in the past, few weeks, month in the past, and since I found out and have had all this time to process, it's like I go in and out of having appreciation for my body and judging my body. Like I'm having trouble staying in that, but there were so many good things. And I was even saying to myself when I was going through this, I was like, boy, if it ends up being nothing or something, I want to hold on to this. I want to hold on to this appreciation for life and for breathing in and out. And since I've come home and having depression and having the grayness and having all the coldness and all that, it comes in and out. I've started this video so many times. I can't tell you how many times I started this video and then didn't finish. Anyway, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really need to say before we just end this. So just for anybody who was in the beginning and has cut to the end, it ended up being a large, simple cyst. I am okay. I'm good. And I have lots more to say about the impact of this and kind of all the things that happen as a result of this. It has, more than anything, it hasn't made me want to change direction. It has made me want to focus even more completely on exactly what I'm doing and stay on this path and be more deliberate, be more intentional, be more present with it. It's brought everything just up to a new level of importance. Not so that I'm gonna push myself and get into a lot of ugly stuff, but I'm so interested now in doing everything I thought I wanted to do, and I've just taken it. It's all come up like a big notch of being more important, because we don't know how long we have. And it's cliche to say that every day is a gift, but to actually live like you believe it is a completely different thing. You can say it, you can kind of know it, you can know each and every breath in and out of your body is something special, and it is not guaranteed, but you walk around taking it, I walk around taking it for granted constantly. And you don't have to constantly have the thought that, oh, this is breath and this is breath, and I'm so thankful. But if I let it inform my day, and if I let it actually impact each day, I'm so much better for it. And having this reminder, I'm better for it. And that's why I made this video. I hope you are better for it. I hope you're better for having listened, and even more appreciative, just the gentle reminder of how lucky we are to be here and be breathing in and out and be doing whatever we can do. And it's not always about what we can't do, and it's not always about what we don't have, but it's about what we do have and what we are grateful for, and starting with that and moving outward. It's another reason I started this other channel, to have these talks, and it's another reason I started the meditation challenge, because I feel like the meditation is the foundation for getting more intentional with my life and getting more into, like, I'm gonna live this life. I mean, live it. I mean, when I'm done, it is going to be dried up. It is going to be well lived. I'm not going to have regrets. I'm not going to have to say, I wish I would have done that. No, I'm living full out. This is my decision, and this needs to be reinforced every day, which is where this video comes in, to reinforce it. And maybe to help reinforce it for you, and to have it here for me so that it can reinforce it for me, because I need to be reminded all the time, because it's so easy to slip back into taking life for granted. It's so easy to slip back into my body's not good enough. It's so easy to slip into, this is what I don't have that I want, and will I get it or not, and all of it. It's so easy to come back in. So this is reminding for me, and hopefully for you. Hopefully this brought some kind of value and encouragement and thoughts about the deeper things that are so important to consider, and not just in an intellectual way, but if you can get yourself to the emotional thing of even thinking, maybe, okay, if I got a diagnosis today, or if something happened today, or whatever, not so that you can catastrophize, but so that you can really emotionally be in that place where it really clicks in, down in your heart, in your soul. This is what's important. And then to live like you believe this is what's important, to live like you believe each day is precious, to live like you believe that each day is numbered. And so that's what I am trying to do, and trying to reconcile that with depression and with all of those things is part of the journey too, because I'm not always going to be elated, and I'm not always going to be grateful. Sometimes I'm sad, and sometimes I get stuck in that pull and that momentum, of some of that. And but this is me consciously pulling myself out of it, and consciously reminding myself. And so I hope that is what it can be for you too. And okay, now is that all I have to say? Am I done? I think that's good for now. Thank you so much for being here. And if you're still here at the end of this one, drop a comment and let me know that. I love to know that, and I love to know, who's here at the end, because that shows something, that shows a lot, and it means a lot to me, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate you, and thank you so much. And like and subscribe if you haven't already. I never say that. A lot of YouTubers say that. I don't know if it helps or not, but anyway, if you haven't already. And you could go to my new channel if you want to hear more of this kind of stuff, see more tears and hear more deep conversations about, facing whether you really think there's an eternity or not. When it came right down to it, what you say you believe, is it really what you believe? And I've actually been lucky enough to be in a position where I got to know the answer to that, honestly. And that's very comforting and very cool. And so I said early on, if there was a gift to this happening to me, that I was going to find it and I was going to milk it for all it's worth. And I do believe that, and that is my goal. That's my goal right there. So let's milk it. Let's appreciate life and get every single thing that we're meant to get and that we can get out of it and through it, and give what we're supposed to give, and not die with our gifts still in us, right? As Wayne Dyer used to say. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Let me know if you're still here. Sending you a ton of love. Tons and tons of love. Just waves of love. I'll catch you next time.